Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. We then hear Minsu's thoughts as he says when he realized the dungeon boss was a doppelganger, he thought he and all of his crew would die here. As we see it grabbing him by the throat, he explains that the monster neutralized him and took his appearance, and he thought the outcome was already over. It made him look like the doppelganger instead, and they quickly chained him up. He couldn't speak to them as they were beating him to the brink of death. He calls out to his co-workers, only for them not to hear him, leaving him with nothing to do. We see Minsu even crying while in the doppelganger form as the doppelganger moves the curtain aside and starts to walk towards him. As we see three of his comrades on the ground with mimics taking their bodies, Minsu asks the doppelganger how it feels to have the people he trusted look at him as if he's a monster. Minsu just begs that he kills him and ends his suffering. As the doppelganger starts to use his co-workers as leverage against him, Minsu cries and begs for anybody to help him. On cue, when he was begging for them to be saved, that was when Siwoo smited down the doppelganger boss, pretty much deleting it. When Minsu looked back up, he saw Siwoo looking down on him, and he wonders if maybe this was a dream. As the doppelganger is being burned alive by the blue flame, Minsu feels the flame's warmth and says that for this to be a dream, it feels like a mother's embrace. Siwoo calls out to him, and Minsu is surprised that he can see him. Siwoo says he can hear him too, and Minsu asks how, because even his team didn't recognize him. Siwoo tells him that he has great eyesight and then introduces himself as In-wook's brother. Minsu says he likes that guy. He's really hardworking, young too, and does everything he can to provide for his younger sister, and Granny. He heard that his brother disappeared 5 years ago. Siwoo looks off to the side regretfully and tells Minsu that he didn't give him a choice, as he was the one who suffered the most in this dungeon. Siwoo says there are two options for him to choose from. Minsu says the moment he realized the monster took his identity, he thought this would be the end for him, and he begs for his life to be over. Siwoo wonders what the hell he's talking about. Then Minsu continues, saying that he'd rather die at the hands of a human. But Siwoo says that's not what he means, and his imagination seems to have gotten the better of him. He needs to actually listen to what he has to say. The first option is to crack this dude's head open. The second is to burn him with sacred fire again, and just to let him know, the second option is far more painful. Minsu doesn't hesitate, saying that he needs to make him suffer until his dying breath. Siwoo says of course, as nothing beats burning demons, and he'll roast him up nicely as he sets him back ablaze, only for him to start screaming like a maniac. The chains around Minsu then start to break off as his body starts to be enveloped by the sacred fire. A status window tells him he has received salvation through the fire. He has completed the hidden objective redemption, and an otherworldly god has responded to his tears. We see an image of Riemn descending toward him. She opens her eyes and tells him not to blame himself, as it's not his fault, as his body starts to shift back to human. He cries, saying he's never once believed in miracles, but other than a miracle, what else could he call this? On Siwoo's end, the status windows tell him that the dungeon will close in an hour. He has received 50 divine points for clearing it and an additional 100 for completing the quest redemption. Siwoo says he doesn't feel great about this, wondering if things would have been different if he arrived a little earlier. He says it actually might have been worse. It doesn't seem like anyone got badly hurt, and they'll all wake up soon. On the ground, he hears Minsu calling out to the goddess, and Siwoo says that's that. He says he didn't expect to see Riemn so soon. The last time they said goodbye, he thought he wouldn't see her for years or something. She tells him that's because he's been working so hard, and she did say she'd see him soon. He says he didn't expect that to be in 3 days, though. She gets super close to him, saying that she's glad to see his face again, and he sighs, asking her how long she can stay this time. She says about 5 minutes, and it's only possible because this place is strange, as there is a dimensional gap here. She felt his presence, so she came immediately. He asks if this has anything to do with it being an abyss dungeon, and he'll look into it later. She says that he acts like he doesn't like seeing her, but she can tell that he does, and he's always like this. He tells her to stop yapping. Since she doesn't like healing people directly, he asks how she managed to heal Minsu when she can't even appear in person. Now he's also passed out due to her divinity. She says that she thought he was a good person, as a person who blames himself for his teammates getting hurt cannot be bad. And besides, he is the one who will be helping Siwoo get settled in the new world. She saw him working so hard to get supporters for her in an unknown land, so she asked to help the people who will aid him. She asks him in a soft tone, what he thinks about his home after all this time. He says everything about it is so odd. She tells him that she didn't mention it before because of the limited time, but reminds him when they made the contract after his return. She explains that the casualty which governs all dimensions applies to gods as well, and due to the casualty, she, coming from another world, cannot influence things on Earth. He says if she can't influence things on Earth, how is he using her power, then? And she also just managed to heal Minsu. She says that's why he needs to be careful, as casualty is like a scale. They're permitted to the contract between the two of them, which means that there is bound to be something heavy on the other side of the scale. He asks her what it is, but she remains silent. He says that must mean she can't say it, and he starts to think about it, saying there's something he doesn't know that supersedes her. He sighs, saying that he can't even rest for a moment, and he guesses it's weird that monsters are appearing on Earth. But he says that it's fine with him. She is surprised he isn't angry and asks why he would be angry here in the first place. It's not her fault that Earth is like this. There's no reason for him to get mad, as he isn't that petty. She's touched and starts to smile and then laughs. He asks her what she thinks is funny, and she says nothing. As she heads to leave, he says maybe he did get attached to her because he doesn't want her to leave quite yet, and tells her that next time, they should take a picture together. Maybe followers will just walk in after seeing a picture of her. She says that she'll take that as a compliment on her appearance and thanks him. She wants to see him somewhere brighter than this next time, saying surely he knows what he needs to do. But he says he low-key doesn't. She says that he needs to build a temple for her to allow herself to materialize easily, of course, and as well as gain more followers. As she fades out into a blue light, she says that she'll see him next time. Minsu then jolts awake, and Siwoo asks how he's feeling. Minsu asks about the goddess, and Siwoo says that she actually just left. Bro is in love and asks Siwoo if he can meet her again. Siwoo says that he was about to ask him if he wanted to learn about their Lord and Savior, Riemn. It jumps to sometime later as Siwoo is in the car, and he's looking at how he is 4 out of 10,000 believers now. While his brother edits, he explains to us that the doppelganger incident that happened 2 days ago and it ended with no fatalities but 12 injured. None of them had physical injuries, but mental pain because of the side effects caused by the mimics and doppelgangers, as they had brainwashed them. Minsu, who was healed by Riemn after being a victim of the doppelganger, was hospitalized in the Seoul, Goryeo-gu area, and Siwoo is currently on his way to visit him with In-wook. In-wook says that it's a relief that Minsu wasn't badly hurt and he'll be discharged in a few days. He wonders what would have happened if the doppelganger had succeeded. Siwoo says that there wouldn't have been any injuries if he had arrived a day late. In-wook asks him what he means by that, and Siwoo says they would have all gone missing or been dead. It seems that demonic gates aren't common here. In-wook asks what he means by demonic gates, and Siwoo explains that it's a demonic summoning gate that's a higher rank than that of an abyss gate. There's a reason that the doppelgangers were prideful skirmishers, and when he was in Eden, a doppelganger offered a rural village as a sacrifice and summoned a giant demonic gate. The Pride Corps invaded Eden through that demonic gate, and the doppelganger that appeared here in Korea was probably planning on using the people in the dungeon as sacrifices to summon a high-level demon. The fact that they solved things before that happened is lucky compared to how it could have been. But there's one part that gets him a bit confused, and that is why a demonic gate appeared in front of him as he had just returned from Eden. He wonders if it's purely a coincidence or if it's related to the casualty that Riemn mentioned before. And to think that something like this could suddenly occur, he needs to hurry up in gathering the believers. In-wook's plan of him hiding his powers as the main character got cancelled, but he wouldn't mind trying it again, as it'll have a strong impact. In-wook then asks how he ended up doing that to Minsu and the rest, but Siwoo asks what he means. In-wook shows him his text as Minsu says that the Pope himself is proof that the goddess loves the world, and they should both work hard to serve the Pope. In-wook asks him if he brainwashed him or gaslit him that hard, saying just because he is subs doesn't mean he can use him like that. Siwoo just asks what kind of demon he thinks he is. In-wook makes a playful face, and then tells him that he's a cult leader, and Siwoo barks at him. Brotherly banter is top tier. Siwoo says that he didn't think that Minsu would fall for his belief in that short moment, and In-wook says maybe he fell for him, and Siwoo hits him in the head, saying that Riemn might be the goddess of mercy, but he has none. Siwoo sighs, saying that he understands because the expression when Minsu first awoke is the same kind of expression everybody gets when they see Riemn for the first time, as it's that of shock. It was the same for him as well, as she's so beautiful that just seeing her makes you want to faint, and she radiates holy energy, so it makes it very clear she is a goddess. Not to mention Minsu was directly treated by her, which allowed him to experience her power firsthand, and he wonders how many people would be able to deny her presence after experiencing her holy miracle. In-wook says that he knew Minsu folded easily, but to think the goddess is beautiful and kind sure does have him looking forward to it, and it'd be great if she appeared on their channel. Siwoo says that she might be beautiful but asks why he thinks she's kind. He reminds In-wook that she basically kidnapped him, and In-wook says that she's still taking responsibility, and he wants to meet her one day as well. In-wook then tells him that Minsu just uploaded a video, as we see he got a notification for it. Hopefully, you get one for this channel as well. It's a video of Minsu saying that he apologizes. It's him in the hospital, and he says that he is here to tell them about what happened 2 days ago, and he wants to thank the person who saved him and his film crew who almost died before they began the video. It jumps to the Guro University Hospital, and In-wook opens the door, calling out to Minsu, who we see. And Minsu asks how he is, saying he heard he was sick. In-wook tells him he's fine, but Siwoo says he's hurt yet he's still showing concern for his brother. His personality sure is great, and so are his looks, and he's still convinced that must be the #1 reason he has so many subscribers. Minsu then asks Siwoo but calls him His Holiness, wondering what he is doing here. Siwoo asks where he learned such a term from, and Minsu says he looked it up on Wikipedia. In-wook says he's going to leave. Siwoo tells him to just call him by his name, and if he's uncomfortable with that, he can add Mr. to it. Minsu continues, asking him how he could do that but calling him Pope, saying surely he won't prevent people from calling him that. Siwoo says to do as he wants. A bit later, Siwoo asks why he uploaded that video, and Minsu says that he just felt like he was obligated to. The 2-minute video is pretty much just filled with his story about Siwoo and Riemn. Although he didn't mention his name, he called him his savior and said that the person he serves, the goddess, treated him herself, and he continuously made these praises towards them throughout the entire video. It's great but not completely satisfying, and Siwoo wanted to have a bit more of a dramatic production when telling the public about the order. Minsu asks if he wants to see the comments on the video, and we start to see them. They wonder what exactly he's planning by having it seem so dramatic. Siwoo is surprised that they all think it's a concept even when he was being genuine. Siwoo asks if that's what he was going for, but Minsu says no, as he was being completely serious. He just wanted to tell the world about the Riemn order, and he didn't like seeing all those other strange cults, as all glory should go to their goddess, and he's prepared to offer everything. Even if that means donating his entire fortune, as long as it spreads Riemn's name. Siwoo is completely baffled by how dedicated he seems, wondering if he's just crazy or if Riemn turned him into this. A status window then appears saying that the third believer, Minsu, has confessed his faith, and Siwoo has obtained an achievement called Fanatic Believer, which gave him 20 divine points. Due to this, he has unlocked a special job called Inquisitor in the DLC page. Siwoo says this seems a little bit outdated, that there would be an Inquisitor in modern-day Korea. We see that the job description will give him a 10% increase to all of his abilities when facing enemies of the Order, and the higher the special ability faith is, the higher the rate of increase they will obtain. It will not activate for normal players or commoners who do not have an affiliated order. If he buys the job, he can give it to any of his believers. Siwoo sighs, saying he can't even buy it because he's broke, and Minsu takes it as a different reaction, telling him not to worry too much, as he has a lot of experience as a MeTuber. He thought this would be the reaction, so it doesn't matter. Those who will see his miracles will not suspect it, asking if he remembers Samyeon, saying he has a video he prepared with him as well. Siwoo says he wondered why it said 4 believers and then thinks about it, telling Minsu that he has an idea that they could use and that he would like to tell him. He leans in close and whispers into his ear, but we don't get to hear it. Minsu asks him if it's okay for him to receive an important role like that. Siwoo says of course as Riemn will be very happy. It then jumps to some kind of altar as there are people praying in front of somebody, saying they are receiving the Great One's will. The man appoints one of them as a warrior, saying he will use his heart and soul to participate in their grand plan and for their great will, as we see them all charging forward with weapons. Seeing a massive demon, they say this is all for the Order. It then jumps to an amusement park. I think they watched a play. As we hear Siwoo asking his little sister if she thought it was fun, she says yes, the boat was what she enjoyed the most. She says it reminds her of when she was younger and they came together, and Siwoo is surprised she remembers that. His phone starts to ring, and he wonders who it would be on the weekend. She asks if he doesn't plan to pick up the call. So he does answer it, and it's none other than Dongshik, saying he has something to tell him, and he's heading to his neighborhood, asking if he happens to be in the area. It then jumps to the Ability Management Bureau, and Dongshik says that he made sure that Seon got home safely, and he's sorry for the unexpected visit. Siwoo says it's fine, And it was thanks to the free pass that he got from him that he was able to spend time with her at the amusement park. Dongshik says he wanted to thank him for what he did in the Abyss Dungeon, and there were just so many things going on with the ability department that they were on red alert. Siwoo asks if that's why he wants to talk to him, and Dongshik says yes, since they don't have the luxury of time, he wants to go straight to the chase, saying this is a video that went viral on MeTube. And it's the thing that we saw before, which I thought was a play. And he asks Siwoo what he thinks about it, and Siwoo wonders, saying that it's a clear example of a cult. Dongshik says he knew it, asking if that's really what he thinks. Siwoo says that it would probably be better to call them an industry colleague, and Dongshik laughs, saying he loves his honesty, and Siwoo then tells him that he was just joking. Poor Dongshik. Siwoo asks what the point is of showing him this, and if it's to stop him from making one of these crazy cults himself, asking if that's the goal. Dongshik starts to panic, saying that's not his intention, and that the government and country aren't one of those entities that oppress religion. However, that changes when they are talking about the White Brilliance Order. Siwoo asks what that is, and Dongshik tells him that's the organization he showed in the video, and they are the main culprit of all the incidents that the ability department had to take care of. Then he shows him a map, saying that the red indicates the sudden appearances of outbreak gates, and he's sure that he's already aware of what purple signifies, as those are the abyss dungeons like the one he experienced. And that outbreak gates and dungeons are not common occurrences within South Korea, and they're actually considered pretty rare, as they usually just appear without explanation on their type or difficulty. However, the phenomena has occurred 4 times within the last 2 days, and in most cases, the regional guilds would help out by activating reserve troops that they could cooperate with if needed. However, the White Brilliance Order takes care of them before they even get the chance. That has happened for all of these gates, excluding the one that he took care of. Siwoo asks how this is possible, and Dongshik tells him that the White Brilliance Order is a new religious sect created within the last 6 months. They claim that they are able to take care of the gates before them because their god has given them the power of foresight. Due to the extremely guarded nature, the Department of Ability Management has been unable to learn more about them. However, they have grown incredibly strong to the point where they can no longer be ignored. We get some ominous foreshadowing of Lucifer behind one of the order members. Siwoo is just surprised that they grew to this size in 6 months, and says that there's something off about their foresight claim. He understands why he's here for him, as he wants him to take care of the White Brilliance Order. Dongshik clears his throat, saying not to get rid of them, but rather they want his cooperation, as it seems that they have influence in the political and economic realm, so it has been difficult for the ability department to investigate them. They already have plenty on their plates with the outbreak gates and dungeons, and it is crucial for them to obtain some help from someone like Siwoo. Siwoo says that seeing as the White Brilliance Order is using media, it's likely that they'll try to intrude on his territory as well. However, the government is on his side, so he'll make sure they regret coming to the surface. He tells Dongshik he'll cooperate with him regarding the order, since the Abyss Dungeon and the White Brilliance Order may be related, he'll investigate it himself. Dongshik is surprised that he agreed to it so easily, saying they'll do their best to support his efforts, although they weren't able to figure out all of his powers. The fact that he appeared in South Korea means that they can start dreaming about their future again. And he bows his head, thanking Siwoo for everything. Siwoo says there's no need to do that, and he just wonders what Dongshik is so happy about, and he can't really relate, wondering what happened in South Korea while he was gone for the last 5 years. We then hear one of Minsu's videos inside of Siwoo's apartment. He's talking about how a new hidden player used his skill to rip apart wyverns. And that there were no signs of incantations or skill delays, and he believes that the fire on his hands is called sacred fire, and even ordinary monsters, as well as undead, seem to take incredible damage from it. He says that everybody must be curious as to who this person is, and that's why he'll be inviting him to the next video. And they'll announce the broadcast date on their channel once everything has been finalized, and they'd appreciate if they could hang on tight. Siwoo's scrolling through the comments, and it's pretty much some people just flaming Minsu, saying that he's just going to try to scam them while others are on his side. A status window then appears around Siwoo, saying that, thanks to the efforts of follower Minsu, many people have started to gain interest in him and gives him 10 divine points. Siwoo says that it looks like somebody with such a following has really given them a good opportunity to start. His plan is simple. After drawing attention to the hidden player through Minsu, he'll have the Department of Ability Management hold a press conference about an unmeasurable, irregular awakened. Rather, he needs to make sure to push the Riemn order into the spotlight of public attention, and once he uses the traffic that Minsu produces, he'll start to expand and gain followers. In-wook says this sounds way easier than the plan of the main character who hides his powers, while Si-woo just laughs evilly. In-wook asks if he really thinks that this stupid plan is going to work, saying it's not thorough or cool at all. And then their phones just start beeping like crazy, and they both look down at it, surprised to see that there is an outbreak gate in Guro. It is a medium-scale outbreak near the university hospital, and that everybody needs to evacuate besides those who are C rank and above, as the monsters are confirmed to be undead. In-wook quickly runs, telling Si-yeon that she needs to wake up, as they have to leave. Si-woo says that the hospital is exactly where Minsu is, and says that it must be casualty, as it's too obvious for it to be a coincidence. In-wook comes out, telling his little sister that it's okay, and he tells Si-woo that he can go ahead and leave, as he'll take Si-yeon to the evacuation shelter. Si-woo says he never said he was going, though. In-wook says he told him his story in Eden when he helped neighboring countries, so he'll definitely go help, since it's theirs. Then the door starts to ring, and Si-woo opens it to see that people from the ability department are going to escort his family to the nearest safe house, and that Dongshik needs Si-woo whenever he's ready to leave. Si-woo looks as if he was really not planning to go, though, because he thinks it'll get worse with him being there because of the casualty. On his way there, in the car, one of the people tells him that the monsters are mainly of the undead type, and the gate core has yet to be found, and they have restricted access to hunters with at least C-rank qualifications. It has been 3 years since the Pusan tragedy, where the last outbreak gate appeared in the city. We see an ominous red circle floating in the sky, and the man tells Si-woo they've arrived. As Si-woo is escorted to it, we see everyone is super terrified and panicked. Si-woo says this is literally just the embodiment of chaos. As he heads towards the gate, it gives him a warning, saying ominous energy has been detected near the following gate. Si-woo continues to walk forward, as we see other hunters are also on site. They seem to be talking amongst one another, and Si-woo says this place is very different from the outside, because everybody else is fearful, but they seem ready to fight. Dongshik tells him that they are guild-associated players, and he may not be used to how this is, but this is just how it goes. Until sector assignments have been completed, they can't start their operation, and this is especially true in urgent situations. Si-woo asks what he means by sector assignments, and Dongshik says for ordinary people, chaos gates are just catastrophes, however for players this is their bread and butter. Right now the guild representative should be splitting up the subjugation area into sectors, and Si-woo says the world sure is getting more interesting as time passes. But to be honest, this actually disgusts him. He asks him if he remembers the conversation they had yesterday about how he would support his decisions if he helped with the White Brilliance order. Dongshik says yes, and Si-woo tells him that he's going to handle this gate on his own, and that everybody else should focus on rescuing survivors, and he'll take care of everything related to combat. Dongshik tries to convince him otherwise, but Si-woo taps his shoulder, going straight into his transformation of Pope mode. A holy radiance starts to envelop him, and everybody else is surprised to see it happen in front of their eyes. Si-woo then stomps his foot as a purple aura starts to shoot up, creating some kind of aurora borealis, making all of the residents who were terrified start to feel calm by the sight. It's an active skill called Sanctification that Si-woo used to wrap around the Chaos Gate. While activated, Sanctification will be applied to all nearby areas, and demons and undead will have their power levels decreased, and anything weaker than Si-woo will be deleted immediately. Another window then appears, saying that the governance of the dimension casualty is watching him, as there is an ominous-looking vortex up in the sky above him. Si-woo gets down on one knee and calls out to Riemn, telling her to unleash divine punishment onto those who tried to destroy the peace in this land. For the duty of defeating those who stand in his way, he will dedicate this body of his solely to her. Inside of the hospital, we hear people screaming, as the undead start to make their way through it. We see Minsu with a sword and some other people running in front of him, and he decides to fight by swinging a sword, cutting one of them in half. He asks them if they still don't know where the dungeon boss is, and the other man says the youngest went to track it, but he's not back yet. Minsu says they can't just wait here, as they're going to have to find the boss themselves. It's already difficult enough if the gate's difficulty goes up because it means they won't be able to do anything. The other dude says there's no end, asking how long they have to endure this for, and he bets the guild guys are fighting over territory. And the Department of Ability Management isn't skilled enough for this, asking if no one is going to save them from the undead. Minsu says they should just hold on a bit longer, and he's sure there will be help for them. The dude asks who, and Minsu tells him he knows somebody. As they get to the door, they open it and head inside, and one of the men says he needs to go to the rooftop ASAP. Minsu quickly runs up and opens the door, and all three of the dudes are surprised to see a whole horde of undead. there seems to be something else, as Minsu is terrified as a status window appears in front of him. It says a mysterious terror is approaching him and that Lich Laches, a follower of pride, has appeared, and he has found the core of the Chaos Gate, which must be none other than a Lich. Minsu says that the Lich is the highest ranked undead, and its existence alone is a source of terror, and as an A-rank hunter, he cannot do anything about it. While the rest begin to cry, saying it's over for them, Minsu has the same sentiment, saying that all he can do is wait for his end. He drops his sword and falls to his knees, saying if there is a miracle, it might change, and he starts to beg for Riemn, begging that she will take pity on every one of them here, as a bright light starts to descend out of the sky. It is followed by lightning as something crashes down into the rooftop. We then hear Siwoo telling Minsu he did a great job and to leave the rest to him, as he will handle it from here. Minsu and the rest are surprised, but Siwoo tells him that he saved these people, and this is great timing, as thanks to Minsu's prayer, he was able to get to the rooftop at once. The window says the system of Earth is proceeding with a casualty congruence exam, and the Chaos Gate formed by unknown causes is breaking the casualty. As he starts to approach the Lich, it asks him to please restore the balance of Earth, and based on the exam, there will be no problem with him handling it. The Lich then says that Siwoo has an annoying power, and he doesn't know where he borrowed it from, but he will not be able to defeat him with just that much, and this land will soon become a sacrifice for the great pride, and no one shall brighten this darkness. Siwoo asks what it's yapping about, as the status window appears again saying the information of Sacred Dawn aggression has been synchronized across Earth and Eden, and now it is an active ability, which means that all demonic energy within a specified radius will be eliminated. He stretches his hand out as a bright white light forms. As the undead start to be immediately purified, the Lich asks him who he is and how he has this kind of power, asking how someone could eliminate his army so easily yet still be the mere slave of a god. The entire area starts to develop in the Lich's power as it's turning into a necropolis. The status window starts to spam him with the red danger sign saying the region is being cursed by the Lich, and the casualty has been destroyed. Siwoo's surprised, saying it's an advanced dark spell that paints everything around it with a curse and creates a space just for the dead. He can't believe it's happening right in the middle of Seoul. The Lich says that the powerless god he serves will not be able to save him or his people from death anymore, and he will make sure he takes over the city. Siwoo asks if he wants to die for calling his god powerless, saying he was going to let him live because he was curious about what he had to say, but he guesses that was just not worth it anymore. As he sticks his hand up, a power starts to drop. The Lich asks what kind of useless god he serves when his power seems so faint. As Siwoo leaps up into the air directly in front of him, he punches the Lich straight down into the ground, almost purifying him instantly. The Lich asks what this is, saying this isn't how his fate was supposed to end, and Siwoo says fate is for people who are alive and not for corpses. The Lich says that he sees now that it was him, the one who killed the doppelganger and the mimics, asking how dare he ruin the plans of the Great One. Siwoo raises his foot, saying he talks way too damn much, and starts stomping the life out of the Lich. The Lich laughs, saying even if he kills him, his curse will continue to eat away at this land, and it will soon become the city of the dead anyways. As his soul starts to float up, Siwoo crushes it before he can continue yapping because he is tired of it. The status window then appears saying he has defeated the gate's core, and he has fulfilled all the conditions to clear the Chaos Gate. But Siwoo says that the Lich is right, and that's what's really pissing him off. A place that has once been corrupted by a necropolis will become a land of the dead where nothing can be born or created, and at this rate, this breach will become hell on earth, always producing the undead. There is a skill he could use for this situation, but it's the one skill he never wanted to because it's unnecessarily cringy, and he doesn't know if he can bring himself to do it. He starts to think about the White Brilliance order, saying it's whatever, and they should look forward to the show that he is going to give them. The window tells us that he's about to use a skill called the Wings of Purification, and then the giant vortex in the sky starts to close as Casualty is going to stay silent about his powers, allowing him to purify the necropolis. We see a bundle of 8 wings start to grow out of Siwoo's back as he ascends into the skies above the hospital. Everybody stretches their hands out towards some of the feathers that begin to fall on the ground, and even Minsu and Dongshik are speechless as Siwoo starts to give off a severe heavenly aura. I think Dongshik might start believing now. Also, how did he call this skill cringe? The numbers of followers start to skyrocket as he goes from 13 to 167, all the way up to even 1807, as everybody is witnessing Riemn's powers in front of them. If you've watched till the end, comment, Christmas, to let me know. Happy holidays y'all, even for those of you who don't celebrate Christmas. Part 3 will be out tomorrow, and will be over an hour and a half. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.